Hello, once again. I'll be talking about a character highlight for my book Wolvon, which is available on Amazon.com as a paperback and as an ebook. There's also a preview with the ebook version, and you can check that out too if you want to get a little glimpse of it and before you buy or before you check it out. Uh, Also, quick thing, I didn't emphasize this in the previous video, and it's kind of occurred to me now. I am, of course, like I said, trying to keep this as spoiler-free as possible, and I think I have succeeded in that. But for the case of keeping things spoiler-free, I will refer to every character as if they're going to survive past this story. That is not a guarantee that they will, but and so if I start explaining what I would do with them and stuff like that, and somehow they don't live, that's not a last-minute change. That's basically I'm protecting the story. So, in other words, kayfabe, brother. If you're a wrestling fan, you'll understand that reference. But all right, let's get into it. Okay, so the first character I want to highlight is a man by the name of Jack Moran. Jack Moran is basically late 30s, so on and so forth. Is Irish American, and he in the past used to be a musician. He used to be a rock star in a sense, and they were basically kind of a little bit of an indie sensation, and they were doing well, and they run into this music producer who's promising them that final big stage to the big time, and everything was great, everything was good, and they were in the studio, they were cutting an album, and everything seemed like everything was coming up. But turns out the producer was a swindler, and he buried them in studio fees, which he made them pay themselves, and just buried them in it and took the money and ran from the portion they did pay, which left them with nothing. And just as soon as it started, the dream was dead. They had no money. They couldn't do anything. They had to sell out their equipment just to make ends meet, and they had never spoken to each other again. They separated. And Jack was left with nothing. Absolutely nothing. He didn't have money, he didn't have his dream, he didn't have anything. And within that moment, he makes a very unique decision. He decides that he will never be swindled again, and he would rather be in a position of power than be in a position of weakness. And he decides to become the very thing he hates, and the very thing that killed his dream. He becomes a music producer. Although he's more of an official one, he's still a music producer. And this leads to a little bit of turmoil in him, but we fast forward when we get to the actual story, where we start off. It's been several years later. He's pretty successful at this. He's been in the game for a while. He has a female talent that's pretty young, and she has substance abuse issues. And he doesn't really care enough to put her into rehab or get her help, because he's pretty much figured, she's a done deal. I can get a couple of records out of her and stuff like that, and then after that she can fall apart just like the rest of them. Who cares? She's not a real artist anyway. So he basically only keeps the drugs away from her when she's not performing or when she's not about to perform. But once that performance is over, he could care less. So basically, he has a big issue, of course, with substance abuse himself, which was magnified by becoming the thing he hates. So he constantly is very hedonistic. He drinks, he takes drugs, he'll have sex with prostitutes and things of that nature, just a quick fix to get nice and numb. So after the fateful encounter and a certain incident, he starts noticing that every time, out of frustration about what's going on in real life, he starts to go on locks himself in his room and just goes on a full drug bender, just taking everything he has in stashes, cocaine, beer, anything, just all at once, practically almost trying to kill himself, but not really. And he starts noticing that during these episodes, people that have wronged him or have angered him previously, when he wakes up, are all turning up dead. He doesn't know why. but he has these vague dreams of things he may have done that don't seem possible. And the question is, what is he going to do about it? So that's a quick summary of Jack Moran, of who he kind of is. A little bit without trying to give anything away. A basic breakdown, if you will. I guess my basic inspiration, would be kind of, it's not a specific person, but it's more of a thing that happens. I've kind of noticed. I could be wrong here, but how fast the industry goes through people in the music industry. It's like, at least the perception of someone who's just the outsider, it's like this crazy process that's on speed dial. You see this new talent, they talk about them like they're the greatest thing on earth. You've never heard them before. You don't know who the hell they are. They show up, they somehow like don't have any staying power, and it looks like and nobody, that's done. It's like the 15 minutes are up, you don't hear a word about them, and they just disappear. And then here comes the next guy, here comes the next girl, and the same process over and over and over and over and over. And maybe like 2% or 1% of those people actually become anything. And most of them become producers themselves. Like a lot of musicians become music producers and stay that way. Like your Jay-Z's of the world and all that. So I wanted to kind of like explore that potential process. Some things are probably glorified. I'm not trying to have it be accurate or anything like that. I just wanted to create the scenario and kind of go through it, and the concept of losing dreams, and how could you live with yourself if you technically sold out, and you're aware still, like how would you try to get numb? And that's basically kind of what he is. He's someone who had a dream, someone who lost it, and he's like privy and watching it in real time happen to other people, them being chewed up and spit out by an uncaring industry. I said now he's in the driver's seat. And I feel like that's kind of like the inspiration as to why I wrote this character, kind of like to play with that concept of just how the music industry treats people. It's very poorly. As for what I hope to explore with the character now and in the future, what I would like to explore, and what I've kind of explored, but I like to explore this concept of like the dream and mixing with drug hallucination. The dream and hallucination becoming this crazy, chaotic thing that's all happening all at once. Like if someone was a drug addict with a lot of mental issues and a lot of hang-ups, how would they perceive, turning into a Wolvon? Like how would they perceive that? And the most comfortable way to perceive it would be in the form of a drug trip. Like if you notice that people who are like take a lot of drugs, but they see something they can't explain, they immediately think they're still on drugs. It becomes their only way to process what's going on, or somebody thinks they're still drunk or something like that. So I wanted to explore that concept of like this wild haze of going from being on these drug benders and whatever, and hallucinating and freaking out, and then perceiving these fantastical, unbelievable things that are happening to you in the copes of this dream drug trip like state, because it's the only way this kind of person can process it. And I wanted to really explore that idea, and also the concept of how far would you go if you thought you had this button you could just push to get whatever you wanted, or to make someone pay for something, even if you didn't know whether or not it worked, or whether or not you were the one doing it or not, or whatever, or what was causing it. But all you knew was that you could somehow force this situation where your problems go away, or you get revenge on people, or whatever the hell it is. How far would you go? How dark would it get? And would you pull yourself back from it? Would you stop, or would you embrace it, or would you freak out? Would you fall apart? It's a lot of stuff like that. For him, I think the concept of trying to live in reality and perceiving what he is now and what's going on is probably going to be the biggest test for him. And how much would he go back into drug fever dreams because it'd be the only way to process what his life is now. And how far would that go? What would he do? How would he cope with it? Things of that nature. That's probably something. That's something I would like to explore. Whether or not it happens, who knows? But yeah, that's pretty much it. Also, yeah, pretty much that's another one in the bag. I plan to do as many of these as I can with all the major characters, and I'm gonna try. I've been trying to see if I can get this uploaded around the same time all the time. I always try to aim for 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. That's normally just my time frame. And last time it was on a Thursday, so hopefully this will be uploaded Thursday or Friday, give or take. It's Wednesday as of time of recording. And also, hopefully you guys take this journey with me and check out the book. Also, the links will be in the description. It's on Amazon, as I said, ebook, paperback. And if you have any comments, questions, whatever, that's what the comment section is for. I'll try my best to get you as soon as possible, and I'll be glad to answer just real quick off the cuff. And all right, well, thanks for your time. Hopefully the duration didn't turn you off. Some people have problems with that, but I'm a detailed human being. I go in when I care. So all right, so I'll see you guys next time.